Welcome to Seattle College's international programs and our show Conversations With, where we talk to people that help you understand how you too can be an international student in the United States and why Seattle Colleges should be your first choice. We'll talk to students and staff and agents and government folks, all kinds of people about what you can expect when you're getting ready to apply or travel here, what you'll experience while you're with us, and how it can all lead to an amazing life. Don't forget to check out the Seattle College's International Programs website at intl.seattlecolleges.edu, where you can find a treasure trove of information about the school, the programs here, and best of all, fill out and submit your application. Again, that's intl.seattlecolleges.edu. Welcome back to Seattle Colleges, everybody. We are here today at the University of Puget Sound in the great city of Tacoma, Washington. We are here with some of the staff. We want to talk to them about the transfer process, about why you might want to consider transferring from whatever community college you might be at, hopefully it's Seattle Colleges, transferring from there to this great school. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad you're here.
If you guys could introduce yourselves, tell them what you do, and then we'll start giving them some good information.
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Robin Aijian. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission. I lead the team of admission counselors that work with international students, transfer students, domestic students around the country. We recruit students, we share information about the school, we review applications, we talk about financial aid, kind of all of those admission-related issues come through me and my team. So happy to be here today.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. My name's Eowyn Greeno. I'm the Director of International Programs. So I work with all of our incoming international students, new students, transfer students, also our international scholars, so people that are coming to teach here, to do research here from other countries. And I also have the great privilege of working with our students who study abroad. And many of our international students come here and then go study abroad in a third country. So I work with all of those various populations, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. I'm taking a break from our new international student orientation today to come be with you guys.
Right, yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I came to campus actually expecting it to be dead today. I thought, there won't be anybody. It's summertime, but there's a lot of people on campus. So you guys have this orientation stuff. So if you're an international student and you're just showing up for fall, what can they expect if they come?
Well, we're on a semester system, so that's why we're starting already a little bit before a quarter system school would start. And international students, we ensure that you can move in at least one day early before the rest of the new students come in, and that's whether you're transferring or a brand new student. Just to give you one extra night of sleep coming off those long haul flights.
Sure.
And then we have, all of our international students have already arrived, and then new students who are domestic are showing up today, and they're just moving in, and their programming will start around 4 p.m. But our international students, we had a whole day of just some get to know campus a little bit, and some of the special services that we have available for international students. So I think just in the last hour, our international students were at our Center for Writing and Learning, which is a place on campus where all students can go for help with, tutoring, writing, all of these things. But they run a special program for students for whom English is not their first language. So that includes a lot of international students, but also many students who are already here in the U.S. And those students get a 1 hour appointment every week with a writing tutor.
Oh, that's great.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because most students have sort of a cap of how many 1 hour writing appointments they can have during the semester. And so that's a program where our students who English is not their first language are able to meet with a writing tutor every single week, even when they don't have an assignment. It sort of helps them to kind of just build study skills, build their writing skills, and they have some continuity so that you're meeting with the same person and they can start to learn, like, oh, you're having a hard time building arguments this way. Let's work on that a little bit more or something. So That's just one example of some of the things that we do before. And then all students who are new to campus join Passages, which is our orientation
I saw a table
program.
for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's about 10 days, I think, altogether. Tons of different programming, including a lot of experiential learning, which we'll talk a lot about, I hope, because that's a huge signature of our campus. So you come, get oriented to campus, but also get off campus to do a lot of things to learn more about the community and get engaged in different ways.
So you'd go downtown Tacoma?
Downtown Tacoma, out to the Olympics, onto the water, kayaking. Not all are athletic endeavors, but there's lots of choice involved. Community service, different programs that happen.
Passages, I think, is really thoughtfully set up to help students build a sense of place and belonging here on campus. We'll talk about this more, but 75 to 80% of our students join us from outside Washington State. So even for domestic students, it's really diverse geographically. So really building a sense of place and belonging here on campus, in the city of Tacoma, and of the greater Pacific Northwest. It starts and finishes with faculty-led sessions to help students really think about that inside and outside the classroom learning that we do here. And then in between those academic bookends, there are immersive experiences. So backpacking in the Olympic Peninsula or community service downtown. So some really neat ways to kind of put the ideas that you get in the classroom into action in the world. And I think that really sets the stage nicely for what students experience once classes start.
Absolutely.
So that would include international students. So if they come, they would go
100%.
backpacking along with all the domestic students.
Absolutely.
Yep. So you come one day early, have a few hours with my office on some, and of course F1 visa regulations and things like that. But then you're off and, with your dorm mates and your Passages group and doing all the things.
All right.
So.
Well, we know you have a lot of United States is a big country. There's so many choices, so many places you could go to school. But I always argue that the Northwest is one of the most beautiful places. And University of Puget Sound, UPS, is right here in the heart of all this beauty. Olympics, like you said. And then there's Mount Rainier and North Cascades. Yeah, it's just a really beautiful area.
Yeah, I think that interplay between urban life and easy access to outdoor adventure is really, really important. Tacoma is a medium-sized city. It's got, if you count the suburbs, about 400,000 people. So we've got a major downtown area. We're walking distance to city life. Campus itself is about 100 years old. It's in a historic neighborhood, so big trees, old homes, nice views of the water. But you're walking distance to city life. You're an hour and a half from 2 ski areas, 2 national parks, and multiple wilderness areas. You're 35 miles from Seattle. You're 25 miles from a major international airport. So I think, for the types of activities students are interested in, we're pretty ideally situated.
Right. Well, so you got a lot of activities going on right now, but throughout the year, students want to get out and go snowboarding or experience snow for the first time if they're from Nigeria. So do you guys have clubs, or how do they get out there? Because a lot of times they don't have a car.
Yeah, Puget Sound Outdoors is an organization on campus. It's largely student-run, but there are professional staff associated with it as well. They're coordinating 3 to 5 outdoor trips a weekend.
Per weekend?
Per weekend. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So for all activities, interests, ability levels, there's really something for everybody in Puget Sound Outdoors. Rock climbing, skiing, kayaking.
Nice.
Either out on the Sound or whitewater kayaking. There's really something for everybody in Puget Sound Outdoors.
Okay. Well, if you come here, definitely take advantage of that, because the outdoors is really amazing around here.
And I think a lot of students are intimidated by the idea of trying new activities in that space. There's a lot of skills that you have to learn, a lot of equipment that you need to have. We actually take care of all of that, right? Education is part of the experience. So if you're going to sign up for these activities, there will be education around what do you need to do, how do you do this thing, but also the gear, right? You can check out sleeping bags and backpacks and rent skis. There's access to all that equipment through the expeditionary on campus. I don't keep snowshoes. You probably don't want to keep snowshoes in your dorm room, but you can check those out from us if that's the kind of thing you're signing up to do.
Free.
Yeah, or nominal fees or free.
Yep. That's crazy. That's really cool. I didn't know that.
And there are tons of clubs and activities that have nothing to do with the outdoors.
Oh, okay.
So if you're into D&D or you're into chess or, there
I was going to ask about
clubs.
Robots. You guys have a robotics, or you get science-y kinds of things. Do you have any of those kinds of clubs?
No robotics specifically, but lots of science organizations on campus. I mean, a third of our students are majoring in math and science.
Oh, okay.
So there's a ton of interest there, a lot of organizations. Right.
And there is an international student club. It's called SOIC, Students of International Communities. Our programming, and my office works very closely with that club. We're sort of the faculty and staff advisory to that club. And we put on lots of different events. So this semester, I think in 3 weeks, we're going up to Seattle to a Mariners game.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be fun. In the past, we've gone to Mount Rainier, just more, not to do any sort of major outdoor things, but more the like touristy, go see things, have lunch.
Right.
We have an international Thanksgiving where we encourage everybody to make meals from their different places to share with others.
That's part of our job, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Love all the
exactly.
food.
So, and we've gone up to Seattle for museums, for meals, all sorts of different things. So, and it's really up to the current students to kind of direct what activities they're looking for in that space for just international students. And we always open those activities to others too. So you can invite your roommate along or, friends that you make on campus.
Well, lots to do, it sounds like, but before we can get into those activities, you actually have to get here.
True.
So let's talk about applying. Let's say you have a student at Seattle colleges, they're doing their first 2 years there, they're getting their freshman year, their sophomore year done, and then they decide they want to transfer to the University of Puget Sound. Or maybe they haven't made that decision. Let's say they want to talk to somebody about it. Yeah. Do you guys do tours? Are you available for one-on-one meetings if they take the train out here?
Yeah.
What do you guys got?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would first point to our website. There are great resources on our website to look at what programs are offered, but also to take a virtual tour, right? To get a feel for campus. We were, I think, last year. Princeton Review put us on their most beautiful college campuses in the country list.
It is really nice.
It's a stunning place to be. So you can see and get a feel for the space through a virtual tour, access those resources. But absolutely, there is no substitute for coming to campus and checking it out for a visit. We do tours 5 days a week, and some Saturdays in the mornings and afternoons. We have a dedicated transfer admission coordinator who works with students specifically on that transfer process.
Oh, good to know.
We're very familiar with Washington State community colleges, so we accept the direct transfer agreement associates. But even for students who aren't completing that associate's degree, we're happy to work with them to talk about how courses will transfer and what they can do to set themselves up for success in the application process. And this is a myth that I think we encounter a lot, the idea that you have to have completed an associate's degree to transfer. Many students do, and there are a lot of good reasons to do that. But it's not a requirement to come and talk to us to have completed that. We're happy to work with you at any point in the process. So we have dedicated staff who work with international students and transfer students. So I think we're well equipped to do that. And one of the benefits of our experience in the last 4 years is that we're happy to meet with students virtually as well. So there have been many times where I've stayed up late at night or met with someone who was staying up late to make that connection happen. Right. We're a small place. Relationships matter here, and I think we really go out of our way to work with students.
Cool. Do you come to the transfer fair at Seattle colleges? I know we have one in the fall and spring.
Yeah, we try and be represented at if not at every college fair throughout the year, at least at all the schools. We try and get there, yeah.
So if you look out for that. If you're a current international student at Seattle colleges, we do have a couple of transfer fairs a year. Look for University of Puget Sound. They have a table usually set up and they can talk to you. But also, Tacoma's not far. So get on the Sounder or, take a bus or just get out here and take a look around the campus. It's really great. Yeah. What's your favorite part of the campus?
We have a giant sequoia tree. I'm looking out the window at it right now. Do you know how many feet tall it is? It's like maybe a 20-story building.
Yeah,
I think it's that
it's
big.
Really big.
It's huge, and I see it right out my window, and it just makes me happy every time I look at it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. The trunk is way bigger than this table.
Exactly.
So. Outside, I love the old historic heart of campus. When you sit in those, our campus turns 100 years old this year, and to sit in the heart of Carlin Quad and see the music building and the library and the architecture and the trees. Nice. For a school that's in a city, we've got towering Douglas fir trees, we've got the sequoia, and just that brick architecture with the trees is really, really magical. But our science building, for me, is really stands out. We totally renovated our science facility about 10 years ago, sank millions of dollars into upgrading that space and building a new wing for lab spaces. And the theme of that renovation was science on display. So everything about that building really highlights an interdisciplinary approach to the sciences. There's an all-glass coffee shop in the central courtyard because the science building is a big square within a courtyard in the center, and it's shaped like a salt crystal, and that is such a cool spot to go have a cup of coffee on a rainy day as the water comes down. Faculty and students also, I think once or twice a semester, hold jam sessions in that space.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then inside the new building for labs, there is a three-story staircase shaped like a double helix, representing DNA that has a Foucault pendulum suspended in the middle, so you can watch the rotation of the Earth in real time. And then they hung a gray whale skeleton from the ceiling. That building is really, and that kind of courtyard combo is a really inspiring place to.
Okay, I'm going to check that out before I leave campus today, because that sounds really cool, I got to say.
Somebody came and did a podcast, like a video cast, I don't know what the right term is, of the Foucault pendulum. That's fascinating. I'll send you a link. It's really fun to watch, to understand like how just standing there you are observing the rotation of the Earth by watching this pendulum swing.
So,
It's hard for me to wrap my head around what that must look like until you're there, I guess.
In essence, the pendulum goes back and forth, and if you watch it, it does look like over the course of an hour or two that it has moved, but it hasn't, because it has no lateral motion. It's just back and forth. And so what's happened is the pendulum stays pointing one direction, the Earth rotates around it.
Wow, that's really
it's
check
cool.
it out when you come, guys. This sounds really great. Yeah. So we started talking about, so we're at Seattle colleges or some other community college in the local area, or heck, you could be in New York for that matter. To transfer to the University of Puget Sound, how do they apply?
Right. We're a Common App school. You apply online at commonapp.org.
Common App, okay.
It's the same for first-year students as it is for transfers. Okay. We will welcome the majority of our transfer students for entry in the fall semester, with the first day of classes this year being the 3rd of September. So usually right at the end of August or beginning of September is when classes start. We welcome about 60 transfer students in the fall and 10 to 20 in the spring. So again, the majority in the fall, but some in the spring as well. We're pretty flexible around that and really try to advise students well through that selection of when to apply. For fall, we have 2 application deadlines. So if you're really on the ball, you can apply by March 15. That's our kind of early transfer application deadline, or July 15 is the other one. And we're really happy to work with students kind of throughout the spring and summer through their transfer process. Then if you're transferring in for spring to start in January, there's a November 1 deadline.
November 1. I always recommend get the process started early. I mean, after you arrive for your freshman year, begin the conversation with some of these schools, talk to the transfer advisors, and makes your life a lot less stressful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is there an application fee?
There is. But for Washington State Community College students, we actually waive that application
fee. Oh, nice. There you go. That's pretty cool. So you have an application fee. Do they have to? They've already started at community college, so their English score shouldn't be a problem.
Correct. If you're studying at an institution where English is the language of instruction, then we don't worry about TOEFL or IELTS. We do ask for all of your college transcripts.
Good to know.
So long as you have been enrolled at the community college for more than a year, then we don't ask for the high school record.
Okay.
So just the community college record.
How far out? You said those are the deadlines. Can they apply as far? Like we have people apply 15 months in advance. Do you have I know you have deadlines, but when can they? What's the earliest?
1st of August is the earliest you can apply. And you can start an application earlier, but you can't actually submit it until the 1st of August.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah, definitely check that out. So, and then once they've applied, how long does it usually take before they hear whether they are in?
Yeah, for that March deadline, 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer if we have a lot of work to do with the application, but we try and turn those around as quickly as we can. Okay. It's really in students' interests to expedite that process.
So, this podcast is listened by people that may just come here for all 4 years. If they do that, their English scores, you do require like IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo? Do you accept Duolingo?
We accept Duolingo, yeah.
All right.
Again, if the language of instruction for the high school is English, then we do not require the test scores.
Sure, but if they're coming from like, say, Cote d'Ivoire, then they would need to submit something for that. Okay.
Yep.
And if they have a certain score, then they can just go direct college placement. Or let's say it's a little bit under the score. Do they start with English only, intensive English, or do they do a combination?
We don't offer an English intensive, so we do have a minimum score for admissions.
Just getting it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and what is that score, say, for Duolingo?
do you remember off the top of your
It's
head?
6.5
IELTS.
on IELTS. I believe 105. This is all on the website.
It's all right. It's all on the website.
It's on the website.
Double check.
Double check his.
Double check. I believe it's a 105 Duolingo and an 80 on the TOEFL.
Oh, okay. Great. Wonderful.
But
So.
double check on the website.
Cool. But you can, if you're
Yeah.
coming direct here. If you're transferring, don't worry about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very cool. So let's talk about the number of international students you have on average. I know at Seattle colleges we had a big dip during COVID, of course, but we're now climbing again. Is that what you're finding here? And if so, how many people?
We're certainly building back our international student population, and recruitment of international students is something I spend a lot of time thinking about. So right now it's still just under 1% of our students are international students. That's considering F1 visa holders as well as third culture students. But this is a major point of emphasis for us. Just like our domestic students, geographic diversity is important. We're trying to educate the next generation of global leaders.
Absolutely.
And so increasing that representation from other countries is really critical to us.
Do you know how many countries are represented at this time?
Oh, I should know that off the top of my head.
Well, there's 7 in the group of students who are starting on campus today.
Okay.
Yeah, we had nobody coming from the same countries.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think right now we're probably at about 12 different countries, and like that is one beautiful thing about having international students as a relatively small part of our campus is like you're not pigeonholed into being just an international student. You're just a student on campus, and you're just from a different place, just like every other student on campus. So yeah, we don't have like a predominance of students from X country or something like that. So it's a very diverse group, but we're always excited for, we had our first student from Nigeria arrive just this week. So that's super exciting.
Shout out to Nigeria.
Yes.
It's nice to have diversity on campus, people from all over the place. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you find that the international students quickly integrate with the domestic students?
Absolutely. I think especially because there's not like a huge emphasis of having students from one country, so you just make friends with whatever your orientation group or the people in your dorm. We do have a residential requirement for our students.
Let's talk housing.
Everybody lives on campus for their first 2 years, so it's a great way to build community and meet a lot of people. So yeah, we have a lot of integration through various, whether it's your classes, your dorm, your orientation group, or whatever.
This is really the vibe on campus. This is true for international students just like it is for domestic students. For our domestic students, more than 2/3 of any incoming class the students are the only student from their high school to enroll at Puget Sound.
Wow.
So this is not a place where people come because they know 15 of their friends are going to be coming. Sure. This is a place where people come to really meet others and build community with some intentionality and have that be an important part of their experience.
Yeah, which is, I always talk about networking experiences and the power of going to school.
Yeah. Nobody knows anybody else when they show up here, and that's kind of, it's a beautiful thing.
That is really great. Yeah. And you actually went to school here.
I did, yeah.
You want to tell them when you graduated? How long ago that was?
I graduated in 2004.
Oh, okay, so not too long.
Not too long ago. Yeah, I've worked in admission here for 16 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you've seen a lot of change on campus.
I've seen a lot of change on campus. Yeah, a lot of construction. I was here when that science center went in, for example. New residence halls. We have. We're going to talk about living on campus here in a minute. We have some very traditional residence halls that have just double rooms on a hallway. Our residence halls are pretty small. I think the average residence hall houses 75 students.
Okay.
So small buildings, 4 stories. We also have for second, third, and fourth year students residence halls that have suites. So those are 7 to 13 single rooms with a common living area, kitchenette or full kitchen,
that's kinda cool.
and that's on campus. And the university owns 55 houses, so single-family homes. 4 to 7 students live in a house, and it's on campus.
That's
And
really
actually
cool.
what I did. Like I lived in a residence hall my first year, and then 3 years in an on-campus house, and it was amazing. I had all the independence of living in a detached home with 4 of my friends. But on campus.
Does the pricing change from one to the other?
There's a subtle price increase, but it's not dramatic.
Okay.
The single rooms and the houses cost a little bit more. There's a lot more maintenance associated with those. But compared to what rent in the Pacific Northwest is doing, it's really still I think a very good option for students.
Yeah.
So transfer student, will they need to go into the dorm the first year, or could they jump into a housing situation? If
They'll be placed more appropriately with their age and class standing.
Gotcha. Okay,
right.
great.
So if you're 20 and you're entering in your third year, you're going to have third year standing and not be in a first year residence hall.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And some of the houses still have a theme, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that can be a cool community thing too, where maybe you have we've had language houses in the past, like Chinese and Japanese. I think we've had a D&D house.
Yeah, D&D house.
So and that is based on student interest too.
Yeah,
so.
Sure. And so do they coordinate with like a housing office or something?
Yep,
for that?
exactly.
Okay.
And it's
Housing
part of the
offices.
application process for your housing the next year. You could propose the theme for a house and say, okay, I've
interesting.
got this group that wants to have an intentional community around this theme. And
That's really cool.
We
I've
also
never heard of that.
have living and learning communities that are faculty-led, like a floor in a residence hall where students take a class together and then have experiential learning activities outside the classroom. We have
And there's credit? They get credit for that?
Yeah, because it's a class. Yeah,
Wow.
and the faculty member leading the floor is the professor teaching the class.
Okay.
We also have students of color residential community. We are predominantly white institutions, so really finding spaces for and ways to support our students of color is really really important. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Huh. Well, so they get here, they get into housing, but before they get here, they have to pay some money, I'm guessing. So the question everybody always asks me is, all right, it sounds really great, but what's it going to cost me? So
Right.
let's talk about tuition and fees and those kinds of things.
yeah, absolutely. And we really talk about kind of all-in cost when we talk about what does it cost to attend University of Puget Sound, because there are exceptions where students are not living on campus, and so we're really just talking about tuition. But for most students, we're talking about tuition, room board, fees, kind of all in. And for the purposes of a podcast, I'll give you a ballpark figure. It fluctuates each year. But the sticker price for University of Puget Sound is right around $79,000 per year.
Okay.
Now, at private colleges in the U.S., oftentimes the sticker price is quite high, and then we're able to do quite a bit with scholarships on the back end to bring that down. So really important as you're considering your college options to, yes, look at the sticker price, but also then think about net price, right? What's the price range going to be after scholarships that you might qualify for have been applied? And international students and transfer students are both eligible for pretty robust scholarship programs at Puget Sound. So our application review process is holistic, meaning I can't tell you the exact GPA or test score that you need to have to be automatically admitted, because we read applications one at a time. And we really, I think, take a thoughtful approach to asking where's the evidence in the application that the student's going to absolutely thrive at Puget Sound inside and outside the classroom. And it gives us the freedom to know that the evidence that might say one student is prepared might look totally different for another student. So the rigor of the coursework that you've taken, the quality of your writing, the ways that you've engaged the community, what the letters of recommendation look like, all of these things fit together like pieces of a puzzle to help us understand the student in their own context and how they're ready for Puget Sound. And why that's important for this conversation is when students apply, they are automatically considered for academic merit scholarships.
Okay.
But it's not as straightforward as, oh, here's the SAT score, here's the GPA, there's my scholarship. So we're looking at the rigor of the curriculum, the quality of writing, the engagement in the community. But those scholarships can be sizable. They this year range up to $33,000 per year.
That brings it down a lot.
They are automatically renewed from one year to the next, provided the student meets satisfactory academic progress, which for us is stay a full-time student and keep the GPA above a 2.0. We're not in the business of pulling those. It's really about student success and supporting students through that process. In addition to academic merit scholarships, students can apply for or audition for talent scholarships.
Oh.
Those are available in music, theater, and debate. There's a separate application or audition process for each of those. Those can range from $2,000 to $11,000 per year, depending on which one that you apply for. And those can stack on top of academic merit scholarships.
But they do have to apply for
They have to apply for those, yeah.
And could they do it during their sophomore year? Like, let's say they're at Seattle colleges. Could they apply for that scholarship while they're still doing their second year?
That's the idea, right?
Okay.
That you're applying for those scholarships while you're applying for admission.
Okay,
So the School of Music has audition deadlines in November and early February, and that's for transfer students as well as for incoming first-year students.
Good to know.
So, again, that's why we want you to come talk to us.
Right, come talk
Here's
to
how
us.
you navigate this.
Sure, sure.
So academic merit scholarships, transfer scholarships if you're, talent scholarships if you're eligible. There is, so for music, theater, and debate, you can major in any area on campus and still be eligible to receive those. You have to then participate in that area when you're a student, but if you're
That's
interested
fun.
in scholarship, that's a bonus, not a penalty.
You can be a STEM student and play the violin. And
Exactly.
Get that
We
scholarship.
encourage that, actually.
Yeah,
That's great.
For students who want to major in art or art history, there is also an art scholarship that you can apply for, but that does require that students major in that area.
And do they have to have a portfolio when they apply?
There's a portfolio process for the art scholarship, exactly.
So contact them if you're interested in them. They can explain that portfolio process.
Exactly. Then there are also other scholarships students can qualify for. So if you come to visit, you can qualify for a visit scholarship. That's $1,000.
What do you mean?
Visit campus.
Like just come to campus?
Come to campus, do an official admission visit. It's a big deal.
Well, there you go.
For
Just-
a lot of our students to get here and invest that time.
Right.
How much does the bus cost? To get
yeah,
down
right.
here?
That seems like a
$3.75
really
or
good
something.
deal.
And then for transfer students and international students, there are additional smaller scholarships that can stack as well.
okay.
So again, that's a space to come talk to us, one-on-one in person or in a virtual meeting. But even for international transfer students, there's a lot that we're doing to try and bring that sticker price down to something that might be a bit more manageable.
And if you're an international student, you don't have to come by yourself. Grab 3 or 4 of your international student friends. Maybe someone has a car and then drive out here. But you can take the bus if you want. And whether you're at Seattle colleges or, say, Green River, Shoreline, Bellevue, doesn't matter. You just come down, check out the campus.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Now, there are two city bus lines on the edge of campus that get you kind of anywhere you want to go in Tacoma, including the transit center downtown. That's where it's where you can catch the express bus up to Seattle, catch the Sounder.
Right.
So, you can absolutely navigate public transit to get down here.
Yeah, which is what I did today to get here. I took the Sounder from Edmonds, Washington, all the way to Tacoma. Nice. Then I caught the streetcar up to 6th, then walked. Beautiful neighborhood.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, nice. I didn't realize you could see the water from here. You said you can see the Puget Sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see
I don't know
Puget
which
Sound
part
from
of campus. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great. Let's talk about, so we've talked about price. Now, for the entering student, they usually have to provide financial statements in order to get their I-20, which they would use. So what's the sticker price for the I-20?
We're slightly under because Robin was talking about that comprehensive, so we look at the tuition, room and board, fees, and that's it. Like those are, so we just take whatever tuition, room, board, and fees is for that academic year. Then, and the internet, we do have a required international student insurance plan, which is,
we do too.
I think about $1,300 a year now, and so we add up those 4 numbers, and we'll give you a very clear direction. This is what we need in terms of your financial statements to issue your I-20.
Right.
Yeah. And so we require documentation as part of the application process. That is much more nebulous in our review because we don't know what a financial aid package is going to look like yet. We're using kind of ballpark estimations of financial aid. Then the process for the I-20 after a student has been admitted, then we can speak in very concrete terms about exactly what.
And at that point, we typically know exactly what your financial aid package is, so we can say, okay, this is the cost, but you're getting this much aid already, so we need a bank statement or statements that show you have this much liquid funds.
So for Seattle colleges, it's about $27,600 that you would need to show in your financial statement to get in, and then you would transfer. So for transfer students, they're already in the States. they're just transferring their I-20 here, they don't need to probably worry about...
They do still need
they
financial
still need to
documents, but the transfer process is fast and easy, and I know the DSOs on your campuses are great. And,
Right.
you know, as soon as you let Seattle colleges know that you're going to transfer, your DSO will release your I-20 when you're done with that term, and then we pick it up and issue your new I-20. It's usually a pretty seamless process. So
Right.
you would only have to renew your visa if your visa has expired. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, one of the things, if you look at their website, they'll mention that University of Puget Sound is a liberal arts college. And if you're outside the country, you may not really understand what that means exactly. Could you explain to our listeners what that means? Mm-hmm. And then let's talk about programs that you offer, because there may be some things that they won't want to consider to come here, or maybe they do because they hadn't really thought of that before. You had mentioned criminology to me, I think, when we were talking.
Crime, law, and justice.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Yeah. So let's talk programs. Let's talk about, some of that. So,
yeah, absolutely. So when I start to talk to students about, how to understand University of Puget Sound, I say we are an independent, national, residential liberal arts college.
Right.
Independent means we're a private school that's not religiously affiliated.
Oh, okay.
There are actually only 2 of those in Washington State.
Oh, what's the other one?
Whitman.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we're independent, we're national. 75-80% of our students come from outside Washington State, so geographically very diverse. We're residential. Everybody lives on campus for at least 2 years, if not all 4 years. So required for 2, guaranteed for 4. There are some exceptions to that, but generally speaking, students live here. And we're a liberal arts college. When we admit students to Puget Sound, we are not admitting them to a specific program. Everyone actually comes in undeclared.
Oh.
Yeah, and most students, and we're talking about the entering first-year students, are going to take their first 2 years to decide. For transfer students, it's a little bit different. Oftentimes they come to us with a clearer idea of what they want. But again, we're not admitting you to a program. So with a couple exceptions that I'll talk about here in a moment, if admitted to University of Puget Sound, it is up to you to decide if you want to major in theater arts or computer science or biology. You have your pick. And I think it's one of the reasons that so many of our students end up choosing 2 different majors, because they really have the flexibility to explore. And I think we're really good at helping students to discover interests and talents they didn't know they had and opportunities they didn't know existed. So for a school of our size, the range of programs is really quite broad, and students have an immense amount of flexibility to select programs that are a good fit for them. That can sound daunting. That can sound really challenging, I know.
But it's also really exciting.
It's also really cool, yeah.
It's different than being overseas.
Yeah, so students actually meet their faculty advisor, who's going to be a professor in their first semester, during orientation. And that's the point where they really start to talk with somebody who's an expert in our curriculum and an expert in areas that they're potentially interested in, to talk about, here are ideas that I'm excited about. Here are careers that I think I might want to have. What should I consider? And a student might be coming to us knowing, I'm going to major in exercise science. I'm going straight to PT school. Great. You can know what your path is. Your faculty advisor is really going to challenge you to think about, well, maybe you want to minor in business, or maybe you want to minor in bioethics, right? Those are opportunities you might not have considered before, or maybe you didn't know University of Puget Sound had a bioethics minor. They're going to suggest ways of thinking in academic programs that can really enhance your resume when it comes time to start a career after graduation. So we get really excited about double majors because it's students using all different parts of their brains. That can be international business and Chinese language, or it can be theater arts and computer science. It doesn't have to be nice and neat and linear and logical, right? Human beings are complex. We have lots of different interests. I think this is a really good place to come and have all those interests and pursue them at a high level and see what happens. And the outcomes are pretty remarkable.
I would say the other thing to know about a liberal arts education is that it does require that you look a little bit outside of whatever your major focus is. And so you can't come and do only computer science. We do have core curriculum requirements, and one of the most exciting for me is that we have a new experiential learning requirement that gets every student out of the classroom and learning by doing. And so you can fulfill that in so many different ways. Many of our students are finishing with many experiential learning opportunities, but it could be through study abroad, it could be through an internship, it could be through research that you're doing with a faculty member in the lab here on campus, or research that you're doing off campus in a lab in a health facility or something. So I think the sort of one of the hallmarks to me of a liberal arts education is the breadth that you're getting. You have a major, you're gaining that disciplinary expertise to go out and maybe have a career in that field, but you also have an understanding. If you're not a STEM major, you've like got a little bit of a understanding of what happens in the sciences. You've maybe taken a math related class, and if you're majoring in the sciences, then you've also maybe taken a theater class or done something outside of your focus area to kind of broaden the perspectives that you have. So I think, to me, that's one of the hallmarks of a liberal arts education.
I think that's really important, and I will admit I got a little lost in my my thoughts, and should have brought it back around to that original "what is a liberal arts college?" question. I think you really hit the nail on the head, right? We give students the flexibility to explore. And that's what students experience. And what's going on behind the scenes is that we require everyone to get that broad education. Yeah. And from the college's perspective, the idea is that whether you major in music performance or biochemistry, we're going to teach you to think critically, to problem solve creatively, to write, to argue, to analyze, to communicate, to lead. And as we think about how to prepare students for the increasing role of artificial intelligence in day-to-day life and in the workplace, having those core skills, regardless of your major, is, I think, going to be increasingly important in future decades.
Yeah, I think you're right. But so we've kind of talked about liberal arts college, but most of the students that come to Seattle colleges, they go, I'm just going to go down the street to the University of Washington. Sure, that's their goal. But why should they consider University of, why am I going to go all the way out to Tacoma when I can just go down 3 subway stops and get to the UW?
Yeah.
What would be a compelling reason to get out here?
Sure. Well, Tacoma's a wonderful city.
It is a great
place
city
to study.
Yeah.
University of Washington's a great school.
Mm-hmm.
I think we offer a different approach to education here because we're a liberal arts college.
Yeah, okay.
The average class size at University of Puget Sound is 17.
That's crazy.
Every class, every lab, without exception, is going to be taught by a professor. Academic advising starts during orientation, and that advising and mentorship from professors happens starting on day one and is, I think, really at the heart of what makes this education so powerful and so transformative for our students.
Yeah, I think that's great,
Yeah, I think the small class size, and I think the more intimate is maybe not the right word, but it's a smaller community. I mean, I love the University of Washington, also absolutely beautiful campus.
Sure.
But for me, I know I also attended a small liberal arts school, and that's what I needed. I was not going to thrive in a huge environment with thousands and thousands of people in classes with hundreds of people. And for some people, that's a wonderful option, but here, you're going to have more individual attention. You're going to know faculty by the time you graduate. They're going to come to your graduation and say hi to your parents and be so excited, especially for our international students when we finally get to meet the parents at graduation. It's so amazing. So I think, being able to develop that level of relationship with your faculty, and then just also being part of the community here with the campus cohorts, is very, very different than being on a really huge campus. So,
yeah, that's what we argue. One of the strengths of community colleges, smaller class sizes, a little more intimate community. So making a transfer from a community college out to University of Puget Sound
100%.
would feel very logical.
Exactly.
Very normal. So yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
So one thing we don't offer on our campus are sports. We don't have any sports, maybe some club sports and stuff, but you guys do. I see this guy walking around. I see some football jerseys. So tell us about your sports program here. And the question I sometimes get from students is, hey, can I participate in sports? So if they were to transfer here and they wanted to try out for, say, your soccer team, I assume you have a soccer team.
We do.
Can they do that?
Yeah.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So about a third of our students participate in varsity athletics. More than half of our students are going to participate in club or intramural sports in their time at Puget Sound. So it's a great place to be if that's of interest, and if it's not, more than half of our students are not participating. But it is a major element of what's happening on campus. Every team is going to have a walk-on process, but I would say if you're interested in a varsity sport, really important as you're thinking about that year before you transfer, reach out and and talk to the coach. They will be able to speak in very concrete ways to what the walk-on process looks like, or what the recruitment process looks like, what the needs are on their team, and if finding a place to be a student athlete is a really important part of your decision about where to transfer, knowing that relationship with the coach is going to work, that they run the team in a way that you want to be part of, the culture on the team is something that you want to participate in. I think that's all really, really important. And again, for students who are visiting campus, we can find ways to make those connections.
Sure.
Exactly.
And we've had plenty of international students on varsity teams.
Oh, yeah.
We've had we have a golf team, so we've had a golfer from Japan. No, I think Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We've had varsity volleyball players.
Oh, wow.
Maybe tennis. I can't remember all of the various teams that we've had international students play at the varsity level. But
Well, one of the tables I saw set up today was for crew.
Yeah.
So rowing.
Rowing.
Yep.
Yes.
Where are they doing the rowing at?
On American Lake.
American Lake.
About 5-10 miles south of campus.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So if they want to do
Beautiful
that,
spot.
do they get in a van and go out there for practice?
Yep.
Probably
Exactly.
at 5 in the morning or
Yes.
something crazy.
who knows?
Yeah. I am told beautiful views of Mount Rainier.
Oh, I'm sure.
From the lake.
Yeah, that'd be really
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So what are their kind of odd sports? I mean, I would say odd, but we just had the Olympics, so those would be more like Olympic
Right.
sports. Like, do you have a fencing club? Do you have a
At club
taekwondo?
level,
Or,
a lot of those activities at club level or an activities course that students can take.
Okay.
Check out loggerathletics.com.
Oh, good to
Our
know.
mascot is the Loggers.
The Loggers.
No, not
That's
Timmy
right.
the Bear. That's the university mascot. So loggerathletics.com, and that's where you can see the full listing of the varsity sports teams that we have. You can find the coach's contact information there. You can look at team records, news highlights, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Both our women's crew team and our women's basketball team went to the national championships last year, to the tournaments.
Wow.
So, we're a D3 school. That means we can't offer athletic scholarships, but athletics is viewed as part of the education. When you think about what we're trying to teach students, regardless of their major, how to engage in community, how to be a leader, that's a big part of it. And athletics is one way that we can facilitate that for students. We do have a very new athletics aquatics center from changes from when I was a student. I think the fitness room is 3 times as large and
Amazing.
and it's full of glass and it's industrial. It's just it's a great spot to be an athlete. We do have the pool on campus. We do have the weight room on campus, the dance studio, the basketball
Climbing wall.
court, the climbing
You have a
wall.
climbing wall. Wow, cool.
Indoor tennis pavilion with
Nice.
5 tennis courts inside, which you pretty much have to have in the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
We have the football stadium on
Where is
campus.
it? It's here on-
It's here on campus.
This is obviously
Yeah.
a bigger camp. I didn't see all of campus yet, so I need to walk around.
It's 97 acres. You can walk
Wow.
corner to corner in 20-25 minutes.
All right.
So it's not massive, but we got a lot happening here.
Clearly.
Softball field, baseball field, all right here on campus. So students don't have to go very far to have access to those resources they need for their sport.
Right.
The lit turf practice field. So there's a lot going on in that space.
Right. All right. Well, great. Anything else you would like to make sure that people know before we wrap this up? There's always something special on each campus. Anything you want to get out there for people to consider?
One thing we didn't talk about.
Oh, yeah,
that
please.
I think you hinted at a couple times that I never quite got there.
Sure.
Small school, about 1,800 undergraduate students right now, small classes, easy access professors. For a school like that, we offer quite a bit more than students expect to find. So we have that conservatory caliber school of music that has 5 different music majors, 2 different minors, the full array of audition level touring ensembles, and great opportunities for majors and non-majors to participate. We've got a school of business offering 3 different business majors. A lot of folks think, at a small college, if I'm interested in the sciences, these are going to be kind of token science programs next to really strong social sciences and humanities. And a third of our students major in math and science. In the health sciences, we have biology and chemistry, of course. We have biochem, we have molecular cellular biology, we have neuroscience, we have bioethics, we have biophysics, we've got exercise science. There's a lot here that folks don't expect to find. Of course, as a liberal arts college, we've got some really cool interdisciplinary programs like crime law and justice studies, gender and queer studies. I believe we have the oldest African American studies major in Washington State. Just a lot going on in the curriculum that folks don't expect to find. And I'll highlight one, international political economy, which is truly interdisciplinary. It looks at how political and economic forces are in tension with one another internationally. And I like to talk about this
really
program
cool.
because it's a really popular program at Puget Sound. I almost never meet students in high school who've heard of international political economy as something you can study in college. Exactly. And I use this as really, I think, strong evidence that a lot of folks come to Puget Sound and discover interests and talents they didn't know they had and opportunities that they didn't know existed. So we're small, but the opportunities are big, and I think it's a really important takeaway point.
Nice.
I think for me, one important thing for anybody who's considering, given the cost and, the time and effort, especially as an international student, to come all the way here, invest in your education, you're thinking about your future and thinking about what does this mean at the end of the day for what my employment opportunities are going to be. We have an amazing career and employment service office that helps with not only internships, we also have an experiential learning office that helps with research opportunities and internships. But our Career and Employment Services office, I think, is really amazing. They're focused on not only helping students find student jobs when they're here on campus and using those opportunities to really sort of build a professional level resume and things like that, but then also to really think about their future and what it means, why are you investing in all of this? Why are you considering doing all of this? And then again, being part of a relatively small international community, our office is poised to help you at a pretty personal level with things like OPT and CPT and things like that. So if you're looking for, how can I stay with the optional practical training opportunities and things like that, several majors on campus that qualify for the STEM OPT extension and things like that. So I think, why else are you coming to college but to think about your future and all of that? So I just want to let people know that that is something that we are all laser focused on as well and wanting to help students succeed in doing. We have student success coaches who are literally, that's their full-time job, is just to be there to answer whatever question you might have to help you succeed.
That's really cool.
No, I think that's a really important point. I think there's a myth around liberal arts colleges that it's more that you do all that exploration and you have these soft liberal arts skills and that translates to a life of the mind that doesn't have a career application. And actually the outcomes are really quite strong. The employment rate within 6 months of graduation is over 90%. We're a top producer of students who go on to doctoral programs. We have our own master's and doctoral programs we didn't even get a chance to talk about. So I think that idea that students are career ready at graduation, that there are great connections between Puget Sound and that next step in your career, and that we set students up well for long-term study. I think it's really, really key. So thank you for raising that.
If you're out there and you're listening and you are looking for graduate programs, contact them directly, because obviously we don't have anything like that on our campus. We do have some short-term certificates available for people that have maybe already got their bachelor's degree. But if you're looking for a graduate program, talk to them directly. What's your website? You want to let everybody know what your website is?
PugetSound.edu.
Easy. Nice. PugetSound.edu. And I'm guessing you have social media accounts that they can go check out, Instagram, Facebook, that kind of
TikTok,
stuff.
TikTok, the works.
So you can see all that stuff on there. Great. Well, I really appreciate your guys' time today. Thanks so much for visiting. This has been great for me. This is my first time on your campus. So
thank you so much
really
for coming.
Easy. Yeah, it's so cool. I get to get out of my office and go explore. I love doing this kinds of stuff. So
there you go.
All right. If you guys have any questions, reach out to these guys via their website. And if you want to know more about Seattle Colleges, of course, you can reach out to me via our website. It's intl.seattlecolleges.edu. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we hope we'll see you the next time. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Conversations With is painstakingly crafted for you by the Seattle College's International Programs Department and supported by the lovely folks here on our campus. This show is produced and edited by me, Evan Franulovich. We welcome your emails and questions about coming to Seattle Colleges. Please reach out to us via our website, or just give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, as this helps others discover the show. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube at Seattle Colleges INTL. That's Seattle Colleges INTL. And be sure to check out all of the shows here on Conversations With. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.